And I found my baby, Miss I know it. Yes, I gave me out to Miss Pedu. I know it. It's what I want to do. We want time to do. For something because I want to see that. And again, I have to for that thing. I'm not getting me on the and I will be and I will go and go to the the city of the for time all day. And I found my baby, time all day. Yes, I baby, time all day. And if I don't give me up, we will have time to be time. For something because I want to see that. Every day I want to go and be I still raise my head. Okay, I let you know how we are always. I'm not going to be and I'm in bed. And when we go and go, like a body. I'm going to time all day. And I'm going to time all day. Yes, I give me time all day. I know you can be.
Good morning to you all once again. So we are gathered here this morning for a simple purpose. Because of the importance of our health, we are gathered here to listen to seminars on how to keep our lungs, liver, and kidney, and also the relevance of mental health and its importance in decision making. As the saying goes that a healthy mind lives in a healthy body. And healthy mind, healthy body connection is the key to a much happier life. So it is very important to have knowledge about how to keep our health, to keep our body, and also to keep our mental health. It is on this note that we are privileged today to have experts enlighten us about some of the importance to keep our mental health and our body. And we all know our organs play vital roles in keeping our body healthy. And it's very relevant for us to know. And also, in our mental health, it can even affect the way you eat. So some of us cannot eat because we are not mentally sound. So some of us don't eat too much because mentally we are not fit. So please, it is on this note that we are gathered here this morning. So without wasting our time, we shall invite our brother, Afriyie-Ansah, to give us the opening prayer.
pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Mighty and ever-living God, Creator of heaven and earth, we thank you this morning for your graces and mercy you have granted unto us. Lord God, we thank you once again for this opportunity to gather as family and learn about our health. We ask for your grace and your assistance. Give us the spirit we need. One is through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So shall we keep standing for the school anthem?
I will build my church in Peter, head of the apostles, holding the keys to heaven above. Rock on which I will build my church in Peter, head of the apostles, holding the keys to heaven above. Soldiers of Christ now, we are the soldiers of Jesus. We are the soldiers to defend the faith. We are the apostles in the past. Leaders, sanctists, pray for us. Pray for us. To Father, Son, and Spirit.
For us to know the chairperson for today's program. And I would like to call our brother Prosper Asamoah to lead us in this exercise. Shall we give him a round of applause?
Formators present. Brothers Seminarians, good morning. I have the honor to introduce to you the chairperson for this seminar. Our chairman was born on the 27th of September 1966. Began his seminary formation at St. Teresa's Minor Seminary, Sanaa, in 1983 and completed in 1995 at St. Peter's Regional Seminary here in Pedu. He was ordained a priest in 2001 for the Catholic Diocese of Second Afriyie. He has a doctorate degree in theology and a master's degree in philosophy. He is currently a formator at St. Peter's Regional Seminary, Pedu, where he lectures in sacred scripture and serves as the priest in charge of sports. With a round of applause, let us welcome Very Reverend Father John Kennedy Mensah. Your audience, our chairman. Thank you.
So, my dear brothers, thank you for the honor done me that I chair this program. And I hope that everything runs smoothly. The resource persons should be around. The second resource person who take out for the second program is already in from Accra. The first one is around the Cape Coast. It's a bit tight this morning, but he told me, he promised me by 9 o'clock we'll be here. So we are expecting him to be here to begin the program. So I hope that we're going to have a wonderful morning session, which is good for our own health and also good for the mission entrusted to us. I hope that you are going to cooperate. I was a bit worried when the guy in charge came and asked you to keep quiet, and the information had to come and repeat it before you understood what the guy was saying. I think that is not enough. And once you have elected people to lead, you show them the respect. You don't need a formator to come and tell you, do this before you do that. It shows that you are not mature. You understand? So please, let's respect those who have been sent before us to lead us. When they ask us to do something, in all humility we do that. It's beautiful. It's also nice to do that. So I believe the first, how do we call it? The resource person is named Dr. Afriyie-Ansah. And we'll enter soon, and then we'll begin our program. Just as I said, under normal circumstances, we give you 1.5 hours, but he's timed. So we'll just do something, we'll not go for break, and then we'll give us a chance to ask questions, then we'll get lost. You lose you, how do you call it, leave the seat. So this is how the whole program will be. So thank you so much, Dr. Afriyie-Ansah. Let us rise and then welcome you. Okay, you can have a seat here.
So quickly ask Brother Ali to come and introduce us the first speaker for us. Shall we give him a round of applause? The chairman present, Brother Seminarians, invited guests, all other people hearing gathered, I deem it a great privilege to be called upon to introduce the first speaker for this gathering. The speaker was born on 19 January 1992. He obtained a Bachelor of Science in Human Biology from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology from 2011 to 2014. From 2014 to 2017, he obtained a Bachelor of Medicine from the same institution. In the year 2020, he began studies in internal medicine at the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. From 2017 to 2018, he worked as a junior house officer, surgery, child health at the Okomfanochi Teaching Hospital. From November 2018 to November 2019, he was a senior house officer, internal medicine at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. He is currently a medical officer at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital and a preceptor at the Department of Physician Assistant Studies, College of Health and Allied Sciences, University of Cape Coast. I now have the singular honor to invite the speaker, Dr. Sanaa Poku Afriyie-Ansah.
Hope you can all hear me. Thank you for the introduction. Good morning to all guests here, all protocol observed. So, as I came in, I heard Father Kennedy say our talk would be a little brief and concise, but I'll try to go through everything as best as possible. Okay. So I'm supposed to speak with you on the theme how to keep healthy lungs, kidney, and liver for a healthy lifestyle. Okay. It's a great theme, and I'm very honored to be giving this talk. Unfortunately, I decided to have one more organ, the heart. Okay. We left out the heart in this. Okay. So, the outline of my talk would be basically to go through our introduction, go through a little epidemiology on what we see nowadays. I'm going to limit it. We are mainly gathering. Other Africa. Okay, great. So basically data what we see in Ghana and in sub-Saharan Africa, okay, concerning diseases in these organ systems. Then I'll go through on living healthy or healthy lifestyle, how to ensure you do that. So basically we'll go through what we call in our field, we say modifiable risk factors. So what is going to predispose you to having these particular diseases or developing diseases in these organ systems. Then we'll speak about a few comorbid conditions, a few conditions that could worsen your health or worsen your prognosis if you do have them. And then we'll finish off with little summary of everything we've spoken about, and then health-seeking behavior, which we kind of lack in our country and in Africa as a whole. Okay? Great. So we're going to begin with basic epidemiology. What do we see nowadays with respect to conditions with, in the lungs, the kidneys, the liver, and then I decided to add on the heart. Okay. So to make it very practical for you, so here at our hospital, the teaching hospital here, for everywhere we say for in a 24-hour duty, if I were to admit 10 cases on my medicine ward, if I was to admit 10 cases, about 3 of them would be people with heart failure. So 3 in 10 would be heart failure. Another 3 in 10 would be a stroke. Most of the people who have the heart failure most likely would have had a stroke. Or most people who have had strokes would have had heart failure. About 3 in 10 would be a liver disease of varying origin. But 3 in 10 would have a liver disease. Especially nowadays, we see it in the young. Liver disease is a very serious thing. And then, that's what does. So we have about 9, I've covered 9. Of these 9, I would have admitted, 5 of them would have kidney problems. At least 5 would have kidney problems. So you do realize that most of the time, we do not have an isolated lung problem, an isolated kidney problem, an isolated heart problem, an isolated liver problem. All the systems are linked together. Majority of the time, you have our patients, one patient most likely will have a heart condition, a kidney problem, and a liver problem. All 3 in one. Majority of the time, that's what we see on our world. Okay? And it's very alarming because over the years, the trend has moved from seeing heart problems, stroke problems, kidney problems, seeing it in what we say middle-aged, elderly folk. Now it's moved to the young. So we have people coming in from average age 18 to about 30 with heart problems, kidney problems, coming in with strokes actually, and with very advanced liver diseases. This trend is mainly because of how the world has progressed or developed over time. And then us as Africans, or us on this side of the world, adopting a more westernized lifestyle. Okay. So these trends was already being seen in the Western world, but over time we have it here because we are more exposed. I mean, advent of technology, we are more exposed to their lifestyle, information that is there, and then we adapt. We've adapted a lot of it, and because of that, we are starting to see an increase in our cases here. So I mentioned we have modifiable risk factors. For almost every condition, there's something that's going to predispose you to having that condition, something that's going to cause you to have an increased chance of having that condition. We have what we call modifiable, so something you can do something about it to reduce your risk of developing that condition. Then we have the non-modifiable. The non-modifiable, unfortunately, you can do nothing about it. And most of the time it's what? Genetic. So you were born, unfortunately, with particular genes that would make you more likely to have this condition, more likely to have this condition, more likely to have this condition. Typical example, you have, not relating to any of this, you have 2 or 3 individuals who unfortunately decide, well, they not say decide, unfortunately are doing illicit drugs. Of the 3 individuals doing the same drugs, the same time, the same amount of the same drugs, you have one person who is not affected at all. You have another person who may develop psychosis. It's just because they are more, genetically, they are more likely to develop psychosis as opposed to the other person. So, if not that, well, you modify your risk factor by doing the drugs. But your non-modifiable, being your genetic background, has unfortunately predisposed you to having it as opposed to other people. So as we walk around, everybody's genetic framework is different. Everybody's genes predisposes them to have certain conditions as opposed to having immunity to some conditions. Typical examples we see in certain people with sickle cell disease are less likely to develop malaria, just because of how they are, their bodies and the fact that they have sickle cell disease. They are just less likely to develop malaria, as opposed to somebody who does not have a sickling status. Okay. For our modifiable risk factors, I've broken them down into exercise, into diet, smoking, alcohol, and then the use of what we would refer to as hepatotoxic or nephrotoxic drugs. Hepatotoxic being drugs that are toxic or damage your liver. Nephrotoxic being drugs that damage or cause injury to your kidneys. Okay. So we are going to start with the general exercise. The good thing about this entire talk is we've heard so much about it, we read so much about how to live healthy. So a lot of the information is already there. It's putting it into practice that becomes the problem. So for exercise, it is recommended or we advise you exercise at least 3 times a week. A lot of times when we mention exercise, people run, the mind goes to, I need to go to the gym, I need to be there 24/7, carrying, lifting weights, doing all that. That is good, but that is not, that is good. It's great if you can do that, but you don't need to do that to stay fit. Bulking up or developing a heavy muscle mass doesn't necessarily mean you are fit. The fitness is what we need. When we say fitness, it is in terms of what? Your heart's ability to maintain normal physiology when you stress it. Your heart's ability to increase its output, increase your heart rate without developing any problems when you stress your heart. Okay. So we recommend exercising at least 3 times a week, 30 minutes to an hour of cardio. Exercising that is going to improve or increase your heart rate. Okay. Cause you to break a sweat. Not necessarily stress your heart too much, but then just to work, you are exercising your heart. Doing this, translating, so I'm going to make it as practical as possible. So translating this exercise, doing 3 times a week, 30 minutes to an hour of cardio, can translate to, you wake up in the morning, you do 30 minutes of skipping and jogging. That's enough. You don't need to run 3 kilometers, 4 or 5 kilometers every day, bench press 150 kg every day. You don't need to do that. Another thing we need to stress, especially for those of us who may already have underlying heart conditions or other conditions, is that the amount of exercise you do, we have a recommended amount. But then you do what is tolerable to your body. You don't see your colleague or your friend can run 5 kilometers in 30 minutes. So you want to run 5 kilometers in 30 minutes. No. If your heart cannot tolerate that, you are just causing more problems for yourself. What you need to do is to build tolerance for the activity. With time, you realize that, okay, in the morning when you started doing exercise, so maybe I do 30 minutes. In that 30-minute period, you get very breathless after about maybe 10 minutes of skipping. You are very breathless. You have to rest for about 5 minutes before you continue. With time, you realize that you are no longer breathless after that 10-minute period. Maybe now it takes 15 to 20 minutes before you get breathless and you rest. That is an improvement in your body's physiology, an improvement in your heart's ability to keep you going. That is what you need to recognize, that you are exercising your heart well enough. And your heart has adjusted to that work rate and can tolerate it. With time, increase the amount of work you do gradually, so your heart does not stress itself too much at one point in time, but is able to develop tolerance for the activity. And as you develop tolerance, then you can continue to increase the amount of work you do. So maybe you were doing 100 reps, 100 skips in 20 minutes. With time, you'll be able to do the 100 in maybe 5-10 minutes. So now you can increase the number of reps you do to break a sweat. Okay? Other activities we recommend are swimming. Swimming is a very great exercise for the entire body. All your body muscles are worked out when you swim. So swimming, cycling, skipping, jogging are very great for us. Okay? With exercising, once you're exercising, you are trying to break down. Exercising means you are trying to break down your excess body fat, trying to keep your body fit, your heart, getting your heart fit. It must go in tandem with your next modifiable factor, which is what? Your diet or your weight. You cannot exercise. You spend maybe 3-4 hours in the gym doing so much work. When you are done, you step out and you eat 4 balls of cake. You eat 4 balls of cake, you have so much food, then your work done is 0. Your work done is 0. Okay? So, luckily for us, our diet, our local diet actually has or contains so many nutrients that are useful for us. We don't need to eat or take in so many more supplements to be able to get what you need or require daily amounts of food. Okay. The setback for our diet, our local diet, is that it is very carbohydrate laden. Okay. Almost every meal in Ghana or in Sub-Saharan Africa, a large amount of it is carbohydrate. But then that is what we need the least amount of. Okay. So I'm going to give you a typical. So usually if you came in to see us, we tell you, oh, you need to have a balanced diet, you need to reduce your carbohydrates, increase your vegetables, increase your fruits. It's all good in theory, but how do you bring it to practicality? You as the average human, average meal, your caloric intake, about 3,200 kilocalories. Okay. Breaking that down to what you would eat for breakfast, that translates, for a whole day for breakfast, that translates to 2 slices of bread with maybe an egg, 2 slices of bread with an egg. Okay. When we say 2 slices of bread,
we understand.
The thickness of your slice should be about this. Okay. you have an egg, a boiled egg preferably. Getting your protein, some amount of cholesterol in there. You add a drink, any of your hot beverages, and you are good to go for the day, for breakfast. You add some fruit, you are great. You got to take some water, vitamin C, other minerals, you are good for you. So that's your breakfast. Lunch, definitely you have carbohydrates in there. So let's say you decided to have rice. The full amount of all the rice you eat shouldn't be greater than this. So it's easy to do this when you, so if you were to go to a restaurant, see how they give you that little mold of rice in there. So yeah, basically about your fish size. Rice, if you're going to eat food, your fish size. If you're going to have yam, 2 slices of yam. So that's all the carbohydrates you have. Then you add on your protein. We would recommend, there's nothing wrong with eating meat. There's really nothing wrong with eating meat. There's nothing wrong with eating almost anything, but it is what? The quantity and the moderation. How often you are going to eat it. It is healthier to eat fish, white meat, or meat that is very lean, has very little fat in it. So that would be good. Lean, very lean pork. You can get pork that is very lean. Good, very lean pork. Beef, not so much. If you were getting turkey to an extent, it's also pretty healthy for us. But if you decide to stick to your fish, that's great. Whatever protein you are eating, advisable that it is not fried. So grilled, baked, broiled, steamed, however you want to do it. Better you go that route than taking fried stuff. Okay? Then you have, so your portion, your carbohydrates is a very small amount. Your protein is in there. Then you have the large amount of your meal is your vegetables. So you have a large portion of vegetables in your food. And then if you want to have desserts, have some fruits. We try to stay away from pastries and refined sugars. All pastries, if you are buying bread, cakes, rock bars, all those things, most of the time it's a refined sugar that has been used. All pastries are also going to have refined sugar. Those are very high in your fats, very high in calories. Okay? So we try to stay out. When I say try to stay out, it doesn't mean never eat it. As humans, naturally, when we are told don't do this, that's where we want to go. So we will say don't eat at all, but your frequency is what you do. So instead of having a slice of cake maybe every day, you're having a slice of cake once a week. That's not too bad. Okay. For dinner, which we should try to eat by 6 p.m. No more eating after 6. I hear you. should be a very light, so your lunch is your heaviest meal of the day. Yes. Then for dinner, you can have some vegetables again, a small amount of protein, some fruits. We've also realized that whenever we tell people eat fruits, some of our fruits are very high in sugar. Okay. You tell them eat fruits. Somebody can sit down and eat pineapples because the doctor said I should eat fruits. Eat 2 pineapples, have a bunch of bananas in addition, cut some watermelons and add all in the name of the fruits. No, you're not eating a large amount like that. You're just eating a very small amount, and then you're okay. Fruits that are very high in sugars, pineapples, oranges are very high in sugar too. They are good for your vitamin C, other vitamins, minerals. They are very great for that. Also great for your tracts, your roughages and all that. But then they're also high in sugar, so you shouldn't be eating so much of it. Watermelons are great. Bananas are high in sugar, but they're also high in electrolytes. So if you have a very long day, you need some fluid to grab, a great option would be bananas. Instead of saying, I have to work a lot today, so then we have Poku for breakfast. So that it will keep me throughout the day. Have bananas in the morning, have some oatmeal, and then you are better off. But it will take a longer time for it to burn, to release energy in the body. Then you are good to go for the day. Okay? It is very easy. So, I don't know why, unfortunately. It's very easy to gain based on, so you can imagine, based on what you eat right now, you can imagine how many calories you are taking each day. You are eating a lot of calories, but you are burning very little of it. Very, very little of it. Some people would naturally grow bigger as they eat and don't burn. But you have people who may not necessarily grow bigger, but then we have the deficits in the body. I'm not seeing it on the I'm not seeing their weight gain. I'm not seeing them obviously gaining weight on the outside. But then, if you were to run their blood samples, you see that there's a high amount of cholesterol, fats in there. Okay, so they do have a problem. They do have a problem, but it's not outside. It's not staring you in the face. We have traditional markers of weight or obesity, being what the BMI. A very easy way to check your weight and your height. We have a function, create a function of BMI. Are you underweight? Are you very underweight? Are you underweight? Are you normal weight? Are you overweight? Are you very overweight? Are you obese? Okay. It helps to use that. But then you realize that using the BMI for us, when I say us, as of our race, the black race, it's slightly off because we genetically just have a bigger body mass. We are just genetically bigger than the Caucasians and the whites who initially developed the BMI. So we have a more accurate way, slightly more accurate way now, which has a direct correlation with your risk of developing cardiovascular illnesses. Cardiovascular meaning heart issues, or so heart, stroke, atherosclerosis, and that is your mid-girth, your trachea, your body fats around the abdomen, so your abdominal girth. So the larger your abdominal girth, the more likely it is you are going to develop cardiovascular issues. Traditionally or locally, we say when we see people with larger girth, this person is well fed, this person is doing well. The larger your girth, as compared to your waist, the more likely it is you are going to have cardiovascular events. So You may see somebody who is very bulked up, but then the abdominal depth is just also there. If that is not reducing, if the abdominal fat is not reducing, we are still at a very high risk of developing cardiovascular illness. So that is something you need to check. Okay? So that is it for our diet. So the take homes for our diet is obviously less proportion, like far less, we need to eat far less. And then whatever you are eating, you need to make sure you have it is balanced enough. Carbohydrates, proteins, your vitamins, minerals, your fruits are there, vegetables, giving you raw fish. All that should be in there. And then very small amount of carbohydrates, higher amount of your minerals, your vegetables. Okay. Next thing we can modify is our lifestyle. In our lifestyle, diet is part of it, but smoking and alcohol use. I'm adding smoking and alcohol use because in our talk here, because as priests eventually, we have to educate others, we have to counsel others. So you need to be able to counsel them on alcohol and smoking. So we say smoking, total no smoking. Once you do just one increases your risk of almost every cancer. You don't need to smoke one cigarette. All you need to do is take one of a cigarette. And your risk has increased totally. And it's not just about you being an active smoker, but passive smoke is even worse. So maybe you are not smoking, but the person you live with smokes. Once they are smoking and you are exposed to their smoke, you have a higher risk of developing some cancers. Okay. So smoking, not at all. Cancers, cardiovascular disease, very high risk. We have this joke in the medical field. If you ask any question about what causes this or what is your risk of having whatever it is, if you don't have anything at all to say, smoking, you are most likely going to be correct. Smoking does everything. Smoking does everything. Well, we still have tobacco in the system. There's been programs and awareness now. We are mandated, all tobacco companies are mandated to write, advertise, and smoking this contains tobacco, cause lung cancer, breast cancer, this and all of that. So then we decided that we'll move away from tobacco. Or you have non-tobacco products, but you can still smoke them. The bill was to, well, if tobacco is what is causing the problem, then let's take out the tobacco and still have the smoking for those who still want to smoke. So we have, over the years, I don't know if you know, but we have electronic vapes. They are called vapes. No, not shisha. Shisha is called tobacco. Shisha actually still contains tobacco, so not shisha. We have what we call vapes. They're very tiny object. So you see and it's usually in the youth, ranging maybe age 18 to about maybe 30. They are the ones who are using it, and it's caught on very easily. So you have a very tiny device, far smaller. It's like holding a pen, or smaller than, shorter than a pen. Like a marker, almost like a marker. And then you just take a quick puff, and you're okay. So a puff or two as and when. And so the reason behind developing vapes was to take away the tobacco. But then, over the years, we've also realized that now we have a lot of young people coming in with acute lung injury. And for almost all of them, the common factor is they all vape. we all use the vapes, and they use it very frequently. So I'm sure papers will come out soon, comparing or looking into the effect of vapes on your lung tissue. So really, tobacco or non-tobacco, just don't smoke. Do not smoke, and do not be exposed to smoke. That is when it comes to just tobacco or non-tobacco. But then, in that setting too, you have people who smoke fish. That's their job, they smoke fish. Or they make chocolate. They are still being exposed to smoke. And that is also going to worsen or increase your risk of developing lung conditions. Okay. So take out smoking, actual smoking or passive smoking from someone who's actively smoking in your neighborhood. Once you live in a community or an area where there's always smoke in the air, you are always being exposed to smoke, you have increased risk of developing lung conditions. That just means that we as individuals should not be burning off refuse, setting fires to tires and the rest. You are just destroying the environment and then also wasting your health. So that's it for smoking. Then alcohol. It's a very tricky issue when it comes to alcohol because people always have backing for why they are drinking. Oh, some people can go doctor said I should drink. Or it's even in the Bible that drink, so why shouldn't I drink? If you want to drink, it is with what? Moderation. Generally, or internationally, we've set a limit to the amount of alcohol each person should be consuming in a week. So now we have men at 14 units a week, maximum of 14 units a week. Some literature or some people have been trying to really drop that even lower. When we say 14 units, what does 14 units mean? Or what is the unit of alcohol? I'm not going to bore you with the calculation of units of alcohol. I'm going to make it practical. A unit of alcohol depends on the type of alcohol you are drinking. So, for the higher concentration alcohol, spirits, your whiskeys, all those, a unit of that will be having a shot of that. So, if you take a shot of whiskey, cognac, rum, vodka, it's 1 unit. Bring it even lower down to local drinks. Our local drinks, they have advertised percentages of alcohol in it, but honestly, I doubt those are the actual well, if Standard Board has, they go through Standard Board, so we check all those things. So if it's advertised as that, then maybe it is that. Okay, alright. So you have a lot of patients coming in and you ask them, oh, I drink, so I drink 2 or 3 sachets for every meal. If the person is drinking 2 sachets per meal, let's say sachets 1 unit. And if you are doing 6 units a day, 6, 7, 42. If you are doing 42 units a week, when you are maximum should be 14. Also, the type of alcohol you drink, or how refined, how processed the alcohol is, has an effect on what? Your liver, the metabolism in the liver. The more refined the alcohol is, the less likely it is to be hepatotoxic. So when we have our local applications, which are very cheap, so now you can go and drink, buy 1 CD, okay, now you can't buy 1 CD this morning. Maybe you're buying 2 CDs, 3 CDs. It's very cheap as opposed to buying more refined alcohol or imported alcohol. So maybe if you are deciding you are drinking 3 CDs a day, that's okay for them. It's not too much on their pocket. But then the effect of 3 CDs a day, if 3 CDs is 3 units a day, 3 times 7, 21. if they drink that amount for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you start to see the effects of the alcohol. Long-term alcohol use is a problem generally. Long-term alcohol is a problem for all societies. The effects of alcohol is amazing, really. It affects every single part of your body. Every single part. So if we ask people, so if you ask, what are the effects of alcohol? You can look at the person from the head to toe. You have something to say as an effect of alcohol. What is of concern to us now, or what we are seeing a lot now, is alcoholic liver disease. From people who have abused alcohol for a while. So you see, so when I said consent as being as an internist, as a research internist, that's what I'm going to see, alcoholic liver disease. As a psychiatrist or the psychologist is going to see a lot of people with alcohol abuse disorder. A lot of people who have become dependent on alcohol for their daily function. We have people who, as soon as they wake up, they must drink, they must have a taste of alcohol before they can function properly. If they don't drink, there is a decline in their function. So they must drink, and it takes a while for you to be able to. You must drink a lot for a long time to become dependent on it. And then the social setting, or whatever environmental setting you find yourself in, has an effect. So you have a lot of people who turn to alcohol because of certain factors in their life. Maybe they feel like it's not going too well, they need to do this, they need to do that. Things are weighing on them, so they turn to alcohol. Unfortunately, like when you think about it, it's really weird because you tend to, in the acute phase where you were intoxicated, you would forget your problem. But once the alcohol wears off, your problem is still back. So why are you going to alcohol? Because your problem hasn't been solved. Alcohol is a very big problem. It's a very big problem. So in some economies, in some countries, the taxation on alcohol is even more. So it makes it more expensive for you to buy alcohol. So it's in turn reducing the amount of people who drink alcohol. Here we don't tax alcohol as much. Prices of things have increased generally, but the price of a bottle of beer is still almost the same. So it's still very available to the general community. Alcohol is a big problem. It affects your brain. People begin to have cognitive decline, so your memory starts to fade away. Your balance becomes a problem because of the effects of alcohol. Now, you see people, that's why, let me use it, I'm going to use the term alcoholics. You see them, and the majority of them always swing. Whether they are drunk or not drunk, they are swaying because it's permanent. Initially, when they were drunk, the swaying was, once you are no longer drunk, it goes away. But with time, alcohol affects a part of the brain called the cerebellum. And that is what is responsible for coordinating your movements, which are your fine movements. So they have what we call adaptive states. They cannot really balance themselves when they are walking. They develop slurred speech. So the way they talk when they are drunk becomes a permanent thing for them now, even when they are not drunk. Their speech is permanently like that. You start to forget a lot of things. Alcohol affects your throat, your stomach, your liver, your kidneys, your heart, intestines, and it affects every part of your body. Okay. So alcohol is something we need to work on. We wouldn't say no alcohol. We say moderation or a reduction in alcohol use. We don't say no alcohol for the general public. But for some people, depending on if you have other comorbidities established, we will tell you no alcohol. No alcohol at all. Okay. After alcohol, talk about drugs. When I say drugs, or when we say drugs, not only illicit drugs, but regular medication we buy or we are prescribed by our doctors. And then herbal medication. So, we have drugs, when we start illicit drugs that are dangerous to your body, whether you like it. It affects your heart, your kidney, your lungs. Generally, these drugs are going to affect them. Your brain is also going to be affected. So you need to stay away from them. Cocaine, all the other hallucinogens, marijuana to an extent, even though now we say, not now, but for a long time we've been aware of its medicinal purpose or its medicinal use. It can be used medicinally, yes, but then it also has its use as a recreational drug, which is not of benefit to the general body. Then hepatotoxic drugs, paracetamol, in large quantities, is hepatotoxic. It affects your liver. Common painkillers used. So, well, the broad term being an NSAID. So, NSAID being diclofenac, ibuprofen, and then other combinations we have on the market, like especially Gebenol, which is very common for people. Oh, I took Gebenol, I took this. All NSAIDs, if you use them frequently enough, can affect your stomach lining and can affect your kidneys. Too much of it is going to affect your stomach lining and your kidneys. General antibiotics we prescribe, if not taken at the right dose, or if taken for too long, are going to affect your kidneys and your liver. Your liver and your kidneys are responsible for breaking down everything, almost everything you take into your body. Either going to be broken down by your liver or by your kidneys, or by both of them. So if you are taking it too much, you are giving your liver and your kidneys too much work to do, and then it can be toxic to them. Herbal medication use is it's a touchy topic in our setting, because we have people who study herbal medication use. And herbal medication actually bring out drugs for medicinal use. Okay. These go through the regular standards that Ghana has. So they are checked by Ghana standards. They go through certification and all that before they are brought out. So once you go through, for your medication to be approved, whatever you are saying your drug treats, Ghana standards is going to check it and see that it actually treats whatever you are saying it does before you are given the license to bring it out. However, we also realize that a lot of us, apart from that, a lot of people, oh, my friend or my family said, this plant is good for asthma. This plant is good for hernia. This plant is good for constipation. This is good for diarrhea. This is good for malaria. This is good for fever. This is good for this. We boil or steam it, drink it. We are not tried, we are not tested. We don't know the chemical components in what you are drinking. Majority of the time, it is going to affect your liver. It's going to affect your kidney. Because your liver is what is responsible for breaking it down. So we advise to stay away from herbal medication use. I'm practicing medicine, so I'll obviously advise you to come and prescribe whatever medication you feel is right for you. Try to stay away from over-the-counter medication. There are some drugs that are freely available. If you walk into a pharmacy right now and say you want to buy paracetamol, it will be served to you. I want to buy ibuprofen, it will be served to you. I want to buy amoxicillin, it will be served to you. Ideally, probably shouldn't be served to you, actually, but it will be served to you. You need to try to get away from, you walk into the pharmacy, I need this or I want this, and it's prescribed for you, and you move on. We realize that over time, a lot of people who just step into the pharmacy buy over-the-counter medication. You don't know your condition, you don't know what is right or good for you. The drug you go and buy may actually be worsening your condition. So ideally, almost every drug you buy should be prescribed by a healthcare professional. Don't just walk in and say, it's not even in the farm, even in the hospital, sometimes you have patients walking in and saying, I have this. They've diagnosed themselves, and they are telling you the medication you should prescribe for them. So they go and buy it. If you felt you have diagnosed yourself and know the medication, then why are you coming to us to now prescribe it for you? But when you take the time exam, you take a history exam, then you realize what they have is not what they think they have. Something totally different. The medication they are telling you to prescribe for them may not be of any benefit to them at all. Probably will worsen their condition. So we want you to come into the hospital if you feel you are ill. There's nothing wrong with you saying you think you have this disease or you think you have this illness. But then you allow the healthcare professional to see you fully and then recommend whichever medication it is that they feel is right for you. Okay. The last part of modifiable factors is water. Water. You see, water is life. Water really does help. Hydrating or drinking a lot of water really does help. Average fluid, when we say fluid, I mean maybe in your meals, the soup you get with your fufu, the fluid from your fruits and vegetables, all of that. Calculate that all the fluids. Averagely, in our climate, we should be doing about 3.5 liters of fluids every year. And then you replace whatever you lost. Excessive loss may be that if you did a lot of running or walking around that day, sunshine, there's a lot of sweat. You need to drink more to replace that. But averagely, 3 to 3.5 liters a day is good for us. Once you start drinking less or taking in less fluids, you are predisposing yourself to kidney injury. Okay? So our kidneys can be damaged. We generally classify kidney injury as pre-renal, or before the injury is occurring or happening before the actual kidney. Then renal, so the kidney itself, that is occurring. It's occurring after your kidneys, but because it's after your kidneys, and your kidneys are linked to it, the backflow is also now affecting your kidneys. Not hydrating well enough. All the alcohol, some medications, and some infections all cause pre-renal injury. And for us, when you come in with pre-renal injury, our first go-to is to hydrate you well enough for your kidneys to start working again. So we cannot overemphasize the need for you to hydrate. Because, I mean, if you look at it, if you try to look at it, you realize you don't drink as much water as you should. But if you don't cultivate the habit of drinking water, you won't be drinking as much water. You probably have a bottle of water maybe after a meal, and then later on in the day you have another bottle of water. If you look at it, that's all the water you have drunk in a day. So from here, maybe let's try to note when you are drinking water and see, try to calculate how much water you actually drink in a day. So for me, what I try to do is, I try to drink at least a liter. I'm breaking the day into 3. So by 12 I should have drunk 1 liter. By 6 I should have drunk 1 liter. And then between 6 and 8 p.m. I should have drunk another liter. Just to make sure I've covered 3 liters. Then whatever foods and other things I take in the day will add on to it. Okay? So you have, I mean, there are bottles, people, in the Western world, develop bottles, have graduations in there, helping you track your progress of how much water you are drinking in a day. It's very, very vital, very crucial. The same way you can get busy and forget to eat, the same way you can get busy and forget to drink water until you are very, 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 very thirsty. That's when you have a bottle of water and fill it out. Drinking water is very, very vital. Very vital to our lives. Now, that's basically it for modifiable risk factors. So we've gone through exercising, your diet and weight control, smoking alcohol, the use of hepatotoxins or hepatotoxic drugs, and then drinking water. Those are things you can work on yourself easily. And then, obviously, reducing your stress levels. Always have time to de-stress. Okay? I'm sure the second speaker would mention that a lot in the aspects. Mental health is very, very, very crucial. And I'm going to speak on comorbidities. When we say comorbidities, all what I mentioned initially is what we say primary prevention. Okay? So all these are trying to stop you or reduce your risk of you developing the actual illness. Sometimes you already have the illness there. Chronic illnesses being diabetes, hypertension. You already have it. So what do you do if you already have diabetes or hypertension, or you are already obese? First thing you need to do is do all what we've spoken about already. Now you can do it more. Make sure you stick to that very well. For hypertension, for diabetes, most likely, the first line, first line is we tell you lifestyle modification. And that's what we're speaking about. Next thing will be your medication. Once we put you on medication, it is lifelong. Once we start medication for you, it is lifelong. Unless there are very, very, very few instances where we may withdraw the medication. There are instances like that. But until you've been told, don't take this medicine again, it's for life. Once it's getting finished, you're going to get more, you continue your medication. It's very necessary for us to control hypertension and diabetes. Control being optimize your blood pressure levels, optimize your sugar levels to an agreeable or good enough level for your body. Because especially hypertension, diabetes, and then the other one, the long medical term, but generally means you have high levels of cholesterol and fat. Okay? Those three together predispose you to developing almost every illness. Have effects on all the organs we listed there. Your lungs, your kidney, your liver, and as I added, your heart, and reduce to your brain. It affects everything. It will affect all of them at a point in time. Anybody with hypertension, if not well controlled, it will affect your heart, it will affect your brain, it will affect your kidneys, it will affect your eyes. Anybody with diabetes, it will affect your eyes, affect your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your nerves. It affects everything. If you have high levels of cholesterol, it will affect your brain, it will affect your liver, it will affect your heart. At a point, actually, it can even affect your kidneys in a way. Yes. So control of comorbid conditions is very, very essential. Once you are diagnosed with being hypertensive or diabetic, you need to stay on your medication. And then you need to practice all what we've listed earlier. You need to be strict about it. You need to adhere to it. Once we diagnose you of hypertension, you are going to even tighten your diet even more. Or add more clauses to your diet. Now your salt intake needs to drop significantly. Very, very significantly. So there's a limit to the amount of salt you should be taking. It's very difficult to judge how much salt is in your food, especially if you don't know how much you eat. It's just been said for the environment. The levels of salt in there are usually normal or higher. But we need to have a very low salt diet. It doesn't mean no salt at all, but low salt, strict salt. Over the years, I've had a lot of our patients, once you tell them strict salt, eventually it tends to no salt at all. Just so they stop eating salt totally. They stop putting salt in their meals totally, so that they are not even, they don't even think, is this enough? Is this enough? Is this too much? It's very difficult to not eat salt at all. But we try to reduce salt at least 2 grams. 2 grams a day. That's the maximum you should take. So something what I tell my people is, if when you are cooking, initially you are cooking rice, you put 2 pinches in there, put a quarter pinch now. You reduce your salt. You reduce how much salt you are using in your food. Salt is, the more salt you take, the worse your hypertension is going to be, the worse your fluid overload and all kinds of complications that may arise are going to be. So salt restriction is necessary, especially when you've been diagnosed with hypertension. I'm going to give a special mention to infections, certain infections, especially because we have liver in here. The common causes of liver disease we see in a setting now, alcohol is there. But higher, because of where we live, where we are in the world, hepatitis B, hepatitis C are very endemic. So we live actually in a hyper-endemic area. It's not just endemic, it's hyper-endemic. The prevalence of hepatitis B, hepatitis C is alarming in our areas. In Ghana, especially in the northern sector values are very, very high as compared to the southern sector. Not that the southern sector is any lower, or it's a low, something we should bother about. It's high, but northern sector is very high. Hepatitis B, hepatitis C, now at least we can cure hepatitis C. There's a cure for hepatitis C. Hepatitis B is still treatable, not curable, but treatable. But the beauty of the vaccine has been included in immunization program. If you weren't immunized at that age for hepatitis B, as an adult, if all you should do is go and test for hepatitis B, test for hepatitis C. If you test and it's negative, great, you can take the vaccine. And then it gives you protection for a couple of years. And then after which you may need to go and get a booster time for it. Okay. But the rate of hepatitis B and hepatitis C is, if I have 10 liver disease, chronic liver disease, so your liver disease has gone on for a very long time, you have liver changes, your liver has suffered a great deal of injury, has gone on for a long time, your liver is not functioning as it should. Out of the 10, at least 6 of them is hepatitis B. Something that we can prevent. Maybe 3 would be alcohol, 1 would be genetic. We just have that predisposition to developing the cancer, or some herbal medication use, or something else. But in that sense, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, alcohol are very, very, very crucial to us. There's a lot of awareness and education going on about hepatitis B and hepatitis C. So if you have not vaccinated, please get your vaccine. If you have not, okay? Kidneys, special focus on the kidneys, hydrating a lot, avoiding nephrotoxic drugs. Viral infections, hepatitis B can cause kidney injury. Retroviral infection, what we say HIV, can cause kidney injury. Childhood diseases can progress to cause kidney injury in the long term. Childhood diseases, when I say childhood, we have people who develop a rash or a sore throat as children, or even as children up to age maybe 18. So they develop a rash or a sore throat at that early in that period. And because of the organism that causes it, you have an organism streptococcus. Once that organism is around that causes it, you have an increased risk or likelihood of developing kidney disease later on in life. Also developing heart disease later on in life because of that infection. Then I said I'll add heart to it because for whatever reason, well, I think, we think based on diet and the lifestyle we live now, we are seeing a lot of young family with heart conditions, family with heart attacks at very young ages. We didn't used to be so, but now we see a lot of them coming in, and it's alarming, very alarming, because you see someone working normally, next minute the person does it. And it's because they had some heart condition nobody knew about, they didn't know about. A lot of these conditions, heart, liver, kidney, brain, a lot of them, lung actually, could have been detected way earlier if we had a good health-seeking behavior. A lot of us like to, we don't go to the hospital or we don't see or call that doctor friend until we are acutely ill. Until there's a major problem, we're not stepping in the hospital for anything. We need to move away from that behavior. Health-seeking behavior, or good health-seeking behavior, is a primary prevention effort for you. Once you are going to the hospital regularly, we advise you do your labs at least yearly. There are some people who even do their labs every 6 months, twice a year. They run their general labs. Once you are doing your labs every year, you are more likely to pick up an abnormality early enough, which we can, if treatable, we can treat or cure before it progresses into something something we cannot do much about. Because a lot of terminally ill patients are facing wrong things, which may actually be detrimental to your health. Information is freely available, and we actually encourage that you search for information, you search, you read widely. I assume all priests are well read. Almost every priest are read. But I think you need to read widely, you need to have a large knowledge base. So we actually encourage that you do that. Question the information you are receiving, and then be able to, if you are not sure about what you are reading, there's nothing stopping you from asking a healthcare professional. I saw this, I read this, I heard this. What's your opinion of it? What's your take on it? You need evidence to support what they are saying before you actually decide to put it into practice. Okay? Great. So I think I'll bring my talk to an end. I've been talking for a while now. So thank you very much for